more daily. Slide through the bay, going dummy on scrapers, Atlanta Mac Dre. Pop, paved the way, we throwing up the dub, pimping Mac where we stay. Keep it ripping on the blade.
What's going on with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed. And like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right, so let's get it done. So with that being said, hit the subscription button if you haven't done so already. Always hit the like button. Always leave a comment. Continue to throw questions at me so I can answer them thoroughly. And let's share my content, man. Let's beat this algorithm once again, man. Let's get back on the roll. Let's get back on the ball. A question a subscriber gave me was this: do I think upstate Sureños are different from someone like me from Los Angeles? Much respect to you and yours. I think we all understand that, you know, the Sureño faction, being that even though the origins originally are from down south and they took over the Southern California part, they've gotten so big and in numbers and in power that they've actually branched out and utilized a lot of their influences. Because I used to hear about, 18th Street a lot when I was younger, and then going to the pen. Like, these individuals were so big that they were just dropping off their big homies in states like Virginia, New York. Some were getting deported in Mexico and recruiting down there, and then in El Salvador. I even heard about 18th Street coming up north. You got a lot of cliques from down south that actually, branched down and infiltrated a lot of these streets up north and created barrios up here. Because a lot of these neighborhoods up here are named after, gangs down south. I still say that they're different, though, because there's a channel on YouTube that I actually subscribe to because I like watching. It's pretty interesting. I'm not biased no more. So like I said, I bump Sureño music, I bump Norteño music, I bump my homies' music, I bump commercial music. It don't matter to me, and I watch everybody's content because I'm just, when you're locked up in a cell for 15 years, everything is interesting to you. It don't matter what kind of content it is. I watch a variety of everything. But the channel's called Upstate Connections, and there's a lot of upstate Sureño music coming out. I even seen music from Sureños from Colorado and Las Vegas. Gangs finally branched out, and they're actually crossing over state lines. But I remember watching him. This dude was named Thumper from the North Bay. And, he was doing a music video, and he put Sureños in his little captions in his music, or in his actual video that he uploaded on YouTube. And I read the comments. There was like 86 comments. And a lot of them were comments from Sureños from down south. Pretty much like, hey, fool, you guys ain't no real Sureños up there. You guys ain't no real Southsiders. Don't promote that shit down here, man. For you from the Bay, you might as well be a Norteño, woo woo. And I'm reading the comments like, no way. I mean, there's comments like this, like, you wish you were us, big badass 13. One of the comments was like, man, you guys are dressing like Norteños to blend in. Like, we don't dress like that, man. Keep it simple. Another Sureño was like, man, why you grow your hair long out like that, man? You starting to just look like them. This is coming from Sureños from down south, like, not supporting the individuals from up north. But while in prison, I met a lot of Sureños from the Central Valley area. I met a couple from San Jose. A lot of them from the Bay Area, like Frisco and Richmond and, Yuba City and stuff like that. Based on the fact their numbers are not so big, their cars are not so big in the penal system. I mean, you try to compete with cars like LA, San Diego, the IE especially. That's always been a big car. Orange County. And these cars have some of the biggest influence and actually made Mexican mafia members part of these areas. That a lot of the times these big cars from down south control the mesas or are in positions of being llaveros. I mean, I did see on Police and Fire Publishing on YouTube, they actually made a Mexican mafia member from Visalia. Then I heard Wicked Ass Sureños at one point in time. I think they made one of their homies into a big homie. A lot of upstate Sureño gangs are starting to gain a lot more leverage and influence on the streets due to the fact that the Black Hands actually recruiting up north now, actually pulling individuals from up north. But I think it's all a calculated move and actually growing and expanding the organization, which is a smart thing for the criminal enterprise. And if they want to continue to live that gang lifestyle and build this crime empire all across state lines, to each his own. Can't stop that. It just sucks to see that, even though my past has always been connected to the Norteño lifestyle, you don't see a lot of Norteño factions going down south. There's Norteños in Mexico. They have a gang out there in Mexico. Then you have a gang in Washington. There's gangs in Colorado, gangs in Oregon. Everybody's just crossing state lines. Everybody's I think both sides are having influences on everybody and the social media and the masses as a whole. Where's it all going? Where's it all headed? Who knows? But I can honestly see the Sureños from up north are going to be different from down south, period. Different style. I noticed that anything past Bakersfield up north, there's a different swag, different lingo, a different conduct. It's the same cultura when it comes to Mexicanos, but we just conduct ourselves different in the north. The hyphy movement, the hip-hop movement has a bigger influence. The black and brown communities out here have bigger influences as opposed to LA, where a lot of things are differentiated when it comes to raza, when it comes to politics, when it comes to street gangbanging and turf claiming and, you know, black and brown to be exact as well. So honestly, I think they're very different. I think a vast majority of the Sureños down south look at the ones from up north slightly a little bit different. I don't want to sit here and interpret in ways that they do. You know, I'll let everybody in the comment section, you know, leave a comment as to their viewpoints when it comes to Sureños up down south and Sureños from up north. Let's face it. A lot of Sureños up north are actually showing their faces on YouTube, on social medias, and are actually popping up a lot more. There's a lot of gangs identified as Sureños that are up north now that ain't afraid to come out and show their face and be who they are. And we can sit here and read comments on YouTube like everybody's saying, oh, these fools are up north or they're just hiding. Whatever the case may be, there's still a barrio, a gang, a neighborhood that's up north claiming to be Sureños representing Northern California. I mean, look at Chito Ranas and Jalisco. Some of the biggest rap names in the music industry that popped up out of Sacramento. Yeah, rest in peace, Jalisco. He had good music. But look at Chito Ranas, how he blew up. I watch his YouTube videos, man. That dude got millions of views. He's known as the King of Sacramento. That's what he's called. It's individuals like that are making Sureños up from up north have a good name, have a great reputation. And even though I'm not part of that lifestyle when it comes to the north and south, it is what it is. Both sides have had their times. Both sides are doing the things, are doing what's necessary for their eras and for their movements and for their identities, whether it's Northern Chicanos or, you know, Southern Sureños. Regardless, it's all part of the game, but I still think that Sureños from down south have a different viewpoint from Sureños up north. But at the end of the day, you guys are under the same banner. I mean, you guys still represent the Trece. So I personally think there should be a difference in the viewpoints. And to answer one more question, an individual asked me how many bad calls are made because someone is flexing their status or just lack of experience in dealing with certain situations or giving into peer pressure to avoid being second guessed or criticized for being too soft. Honestly, it happens all the time. A lot of individuals gain status or gain these positions of leadership and they just start ego tripping. I myself at some point became that way. After I started learning and having a little bit of experience here and there, because I was running into a lot of encounters where I had to make necessary calls and get individuals removed. And then once you start feeling like you got that sense of power, like, man, if I wanted to, all I got to do is strike it up, send it down the chain of command, and this individual will go. Because at the end of the day, who's going to question my decision when I put it all on paper and I create a bundle, a report bundle that needs to go to the Cork and Shoe or Pelican Bay, which is probably going to take a year or two. So by the time they hear about it, it's going to be old news. They're not really going to question it because they're going to want to know what's up to date and what's happening. What are the current events that are taking place now? They're not really going to trip and reflect on what took place a year ago, 2 years ago, unless it affected their money or affected their agenda. Sometimes individuals, let's say pride is a sign of a foolish man. That's what the Bible says. And it's a foolish thing to think about that just because you're in a position of leadership, it's to lead. It's not to bully. These leaderships are to govern the people within the law and order that's been pre-established with the rules and regulations in accordance to the household policies, not in accordance to what you believe is right, what you believe needs to be done, what you believe is a form of disrespect or respect. Like Bonner Bray says, acknowledge and respect the authority in charge. People take that concept and misinterpret it and misuse and abuse it for their own sense. All it's basically saying is it's having everybody work in conformity to the chain of command. But instead, individuals in the positions of power, even if they're not individuals with status, they just hold high CLC positions because they're qualified, they're well educated, and they're well trained in these positions, will abuse it. Sometimes it could be a regular northerner that just thinks he has status, just feels like he has status because he's been issued a position of power, which is the upper CLC, positions that only northerners are supposed to be holding. He starts doing what he wants, governing what he wants, issuing discipline without confiding in the upper CLC, without confiding with the norteños. It happens all the time. Or sometimes we have to replace individuals out of the COC because he took his position too serious, because he started issuing discipline on a consistent basis. But I will receive reports like, why this fool would get disciplined for that when he could have got corrected? He could have got a verbal warning. I just think it's a habitual nature for individuals once they fall into these leadership positions. It might not even be because of peer pressure. He just wants to exert that form of power to whatever the degree that he's issued within his CLC bundle. He just wants to feel like he's important. And I think that's where a lot of individuals get it wrong. Everybody wants to feel important. Them CLC positions are only there to govern the household, not to rule the people. And it's sad to say that a lot of this hierarchy that's being viewed as just a regular militant chain of command causes these individuals to rule with iron fist. It causes individuals to become power happy for no reason other than, I want to feel important. I want to be bad. I'm in a leadership position, so now I can do whatever I want. That's how more people are starting to lose their careers more than anything. It's the misuse and abuse of authority in charge. So yeah, bad calls happen all the time. And then individuals wonder why the dropout rate's so big, why the SNY yards got so big, is because individuals forget what they're doing. They forget the true meaning and purpose of these COCs, these law and order, these rules and regulations, the appointed leadership. I hate to say it, but a big percentage, more than half of the percentage of why individuals are walking away from the gang life and are disassociating themselves from their factions is because it's from people that are abusing their leadership, that are governing the people wrong. I guess the moral of the story is people forgot how to be great leaders. With that being said, man, I hope I answered you guys' questions to the best of my ability. I have more questions to come. Please hit the link in the description. Support the channel. Share it. Leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think. Peace.